first thing I did when I arrived in town was prepare John's appeal. Welcome back to Corrupt Clearfield, and once again, I'll remind all of you that you can follow along using the documents found at corruptclearfield.com by clicking the link for the Dropbox folder. We'll be going over quite a few documents here, and this is where all of the smoking guns are, folks. You're definitely going to want to have that up for yourself so you can look through it. Make sure there's no funny business on my part. You'll see that this is all straight up. These are all the actual documents themselves. It's just mind-blowing. Anyways, back to the case. The courthouse wouldn't accept the document. I tried to file his appeal form. I tried to submit it. The clerk of court simply would not accept it because it didn't have his signature on it. So I did the only logical thing at that point I could think to do, which was go to the jailhouse to try to give him a copy, or rather 4 copies, all the different ones that needed to be served, so he could sign them himself, and then I could turn them in. Well, the jail informed me that they, A, did not allow any sort of transfer of items to the prisoners from their friends, family, or any other visitors, so there was no way I could actually, without being his lawyer, give him a copy of his appeal to sign. I could mail it in, though. The only problem there is they told me they go through all of the mail, and if they deem it something that is not relevant for the prisoner, they will either return it or just throw it away. I know, right? It's a pretty nice service they offer there. I decided to go to my father-in-law at that point, who had power of attorney for John. He signed it using the proper method of signature verification. I forget even off the top of my head exactly what that is, but there's a way you have to do it, different ways in each state. He filled it out correctly, tried to take it down to the courthouse. They wouldn't accept it still. Just no real reason why we won't accept that unless it's signed by him. So at this point, with no other options, his appeal date passes. Nothing can be done as far as the normal legal avenues that are available to him. The second thing I did at this point was begin piecing together the entire narrative that you just listened to in the previous 9 episodes. It took a while, of course, getting all the proper documents, talking to all the proper people, all the interviews I had with folks to verify, make sure certain information was accurate, but at the end of all of it, I was able to piece together everything you just heard in the previous 9 episodes up until this point. Now, all of that is incredibly damning and speaks to questionable motives from everyone involved, questions that really need to be answered, but it gets even worse, I'm afraid. Far worse than that. You see, when I started digging into things myself, I uncovered not only a pattern of behavior from Tara that was downright disturbing, I also found out exactly why the district attorney and the Clearfield Borough Police did not want some of the evidence to be put on the record. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit there. Let me take you through some of the less damning, but still completely deplorable documents. First of all, we have a Facebook post from Tara where she's talking about thanking Stephanie Cooper, John's lawyer, on Facebook. Now, that to me seems a little odd, where you would be personally thanking your soon-to-be ex-husband's attorney, who you're supposedly in a bitter battle against, on Facebook for doing something in your favor. It doesn't really scream of any illegality on its own, but when taken as a whole and part of everything else that's happened, it's certainly curious, at the very least. We also have a picture on Facebook where Tara had different folks telling her that she should get a gun to make herself feel better. Tara agrees. She definitely should get a gun. Another Facebook picture is Tara listing the dates for their hearing herself. Now, if you remember, one of the things that she was all upset about during the actual hearing was that John was letting people know what the dates were. Well, Tara's Facebook page is public, and she had absolutely no problem posting those dates herself. I don't know. Seems to me like somebody who would be that upset over people knowing the dates of your hearings wouldn't be someone who would be on Facebook advertising all of those dates herself. All of that, though, pales in comparison to the numerous examples I found and are here for your viewing pleasure of Tara using the same metaphorical language as David and Goliath herself. Now, if we're to be intellectually honest about what Tara was saying, and if we're to follow a logical progression, as all of us should at this point, we can only assume that these pictures you see of Tara's Facebook posts invoking the metaphor of David and Goliath are all threats to murder people. That's right, folks. We have the intent to murder other individuals right here in Tara's own Facebook posts. I'll let you go ahead and peruse those, and you can actually see that the last one says, "For every Goliath, there is a stone." Well, I sincerely hope that whoever that stone was aimed at was able to get away. If not, rest in peace. Moving on to another document, you'll see that when I searched Tara's friends list, a very familiar name surfaced. That's right, Bill Shaw, district attorney, the person person in charge for prosecuting John this entire step of the way is a friend of Tara's on Facebook. Now, if you remember from the first episode, I talked about how these folks work in the same office together many years ago, back before Bill Shaw was actually the district attorney. Another mystery solved here. Tracy Winters, the arresting officer for John's second PFA violation. If you remember, it was very curious that A, Tara did not call the Clearfield County Police. She told Tracy Winters about the incident. And then 3 days later, Tracy came out to the house to check it out. And remember, the whole timeline was weird because sometime in late May, Tara saw the post. She waited until June 14th to even tell Tracy about the post. And then rather than actually calling the police and having an officer on duty dispatched, she called Tracy Winters directly, who came to her house 3 days after it had been reported, saw the post, and then arrested John. Very strange timeline of events. But when you search Tracy and Lighthouse Evangelical Church, you find out that Tracy is in fact one of the congregants at Lighthouse Evangelical Church. Now, why does that matter, you might ask? It matters because Tara, after wearing out her welcome at the Phillipsburg Church of Latter-day Saints, then migrated to, you guessed it, the Lighthouse Evangelical Church in a town called West Decatur. I've confirmed this with multiple sources, and Tracy Winters is a congregant at Lighthouse Evangelical Church right at the time she needed to be in order to become friends with Tara, hear about this case, be duped into believing that John was actually some sort of tyrant, and a personal friend that Tara could call to have come out and investigate this. Just another puzzle piece revealed. Moving down even further on the list, we have a post from the Bishop's Corner. Now, if you remember, the Bishop's Corner from that transcript we read is one of John's 3 Facebook accounts. He has his personal account, he has the Bishop's Corner, and he has one other account. Now, the 2 accounts that aren't his personal one are ones that he uses to disseminate information to his various congregants and folks that are part of his Bible studies and whatnot. The Bishop's Corner and this other account besides his personal one, they were both accounts that Tara had access to while they were together when she was, of course, making her way up through the ladder of church leadership. Now, Tara said she had not accessed any of these accounts in approximately 2 years, which is why it's extremely strange that when John was being held for his first PFA violation, remember the Facebook like, Tara actually posted on the Bishop's Corner, a page that she claimed she no longer had access to. Well, a year after she claimed she gave up access to it, she posted a negative post about John on his own Facebook page, telling people about what he had just done, convincing his congregation basically that he had committed a crime. Tara, that is called perjury. It's not allowed. I'm not sure if anybody ever told you that, but you're not allowed to do that. Next up, we have a picture that shows Tara actually canceled the deletion of her from the Bishop's Corner page. After she posted this, a few days later on October 1st, somebody, I'm not sure if it was John or someone he gave his information to, actually tried to delete her from having access to those accounts. I have a picture from John's notification list that shows she actually canceled the deletion of the page. He tried to delete the whole page to keep her from posting on it. She canceled it. But remember, she didn't have access to it. She didn't have access to it, folks. And just for fun, I've thrown in a picture of the parking lot from the Jubilee Church because we know that he did not drive behind her house on August 3rd, 2015, as she suggested, because he had alibis, despite the fact they were suppressed by the motion in limine from Assistant District Attorney Ben Baker and approved for some ungodly reason by Judge Cherry, which wouldn't have been a problem anyways if Stephanie Cooper had actually submitted the evidence while she was being paid like she was supposed to. But all that is spilt milk under the bridge, folks, because you can see from this picture you have in front of you right now that Tara's assertion he drove in and then drove around in circles trying to intimidate her is impossible. There's not enough room for a person to turn in a circle. A 3-point turn or a pull into a parking spot and then backing out would have to be initiated in order for anyone to turn around in this parking lot. Add it to the laundry list of lies that this woman has engaged in. Now we come to the good stuff. That stuff was fine. That stuff definitely proves, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, that we are dealing with an absolute tyrant of a human being, but it is not what you would say legally damning, legally relevant. This stuff is. Oh, buddy. bloody this stuff is. So at this point, I hope you're wondering the same thing that I'm wondering, which is, okay, where is the proof that he pressed the like button on Facebook? Because that was what initiated all of this. His attorney never showed him a picture of him liking the post from Tara on Facebook. None of the court documents had any pictures of him liking the post on Facebook. Not even the copy of the police report filed at the courthouse for the public to access has a picture of the like button being pressed. And the discovery submitted by the district attorney's office is also missing a picture of the Facebook like button being pressed. So at this point, I realize the only way I can get an actual copy of the picture of the Facebook like button being pressed is to go to the source, the Clearfield Borough Police Station. The night before I decided to go, I actually called in when I heard Officer Podlisky would be on duty to ask him first to make this situation as amicable as possible. I didn't want to blindside anybody. I called in, I talked to Officer Podlisky. He was pleasant enough at first, and as soon as I dropped my name and the reason I was calling, he instantly went on the defensive, told me that there was no way I could get a copy of that because I wasn't John's lawyer, to which I told him the Right to Know Act in Pennsylvania actually allows me to get a copy of any of this, allows any citizen to get a copy of any record that's on the public record. And he said, well, you'll have to talk to the chief about it. I'm not talking to you without a lawyer anymore, and hung up on me. Simple enough. All right, I guess we know where we stand with Officer Podlisky at this point. I go in the next morning, 7 a.m., bright and early when the police station opens up. Nobody is in the station. Nobody. I wait an hour, 8 a.m., nobody has showed up. I am actually standing in the lobby for the police station. No receptionist, no one at their desk, nobody is there. About 7:45 or so, a few other people had came in, and starting around 8 o'clock, more people began to dribble in, and we were all standing there with no one in the police station. All the other folks were wondering what is going on. Why is no one here? What on earth is happening? Finally, around 9 a.m., a secretary strolls in, and she too is astonished that nobody is there at the police station. We've all been standing there waiting, a few of us, for more than an hour. She says, let me go and try and find someone. She goes back, she starts making phone calls, nobody picks up. Finally, after about 15 minutes, she comes out and says, I don't know what's happened. Let me try to keep getting a hold of some people. Finally, at about 9:45, almost 3 hours after I arrived at the police station, she comes over to tell me, I'm sorry, but it looks like all the officers are on call right now. You're going to have to come back later. I leave the police station, and over the course of the next 4 days, I try my damnedest to get a copy of this police report. Every single time something is in the way. So finally, on Friday afternoon at 3:30 in the afternoon, which for reference, the police station closes at 4 in the afternoon, I finally am given a copy of the police report. Like the last possible moment they could wait until everything is closed for the weekend. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, though. Just a coincidence. So you should have a picture of that evidence in front of you right now. And this is going to require a little bit of detective work on your part, too. So I apologize, but please bear with me. For those of you who have used Facebook before, though, this should make a lot of sense. Now, if you're on Facebook, you know that when you like a post, it shows up in the other person's what's called a news feed. It shows up below the post as, let's say, we have Tom and we have Jane, and they both like a post. It will say Tom and Jane like this post. It'll also give them a notification saying that Tom and Jane like your post. Now here is where things get interesting. If you see the picture, the larger picture that is zoomed in that just shows her notifications. You'll know which picture it is because it only shows 4 photos or 4 pictures of people, and it says Samsung towards the left-hand side of the photo. That's the phone I'm assuming that the picture was taken on. Now it says in the drop-down notification, Jay Gill, Sandra Young, and 2 other people recently liked your post. You better open your mouth, declare. That's the beginning words of the post. If you, however, go over to the second picture and you look at the drop-down notification box, you'll see the same thing. Jay Gill, Sandra Young, and 2 others, like your post. You better open up your mouth. But then to the left, that's the actual post right there. You see that the picture is different where it says write a comment. That's because where it says write a comment, whoever is logged into Facebook at the time is the one who would write a comment. And this happens to be Tara, of course, logged into her own Facebook account, making note of the fact that Jay has supposedly liked her Facebook post. Here's the only problem. Right above her picture and below the actual post, it says you, Sandra Young, Penny Coleman, and I believe it says Kathy, although I'm not sure, like this post. It would only say you like this post if it's talking to you, as in the person who is logged into Facebook at the time. So my suspicion at this point is Tara liked her own post by changing her name on Facebook to J. Gill and changing her picture to his profile picture. She then liked her own post, took a picture of the drop-down notification box showing that it was actually him that liked her post. The only problem is she took a picture of it saying you like this post, as in she herself. She took this picture after she had already changed her picture and her name back to her own. Now, this is still something that could be questioned if it wasn't for the fact that I went into Jay's Facebook account. He gave me his information. I changed his email address to mine so I could have him, his account, email me a copy of his Facebook records. Facebook actually keeps records of every single activity you've ever done on the platform that you can download yourself. It gives you a zip file. You unzip it. You can look at every like, every comment, every picture, every single message, everything you've ever done on Facebook. You can get available to yourself. And they did this because they got so many subpoena requests for this information that they decided to just making it automatically publicly available for each user. Lo and behold, the next picture you look at, John did not like any Facebook posts on the date of August 29th, when Tara said that he liked her post. No like, no activity even from John on that day. So to reiterate, the Facebook like button being pressed, which started all of the things that are happening to him currently, which helped this entire situation spiral into madness, which gave him his first PFA violation, which paved the way for the second PFA violation that has put him in jail, where he still sits to this very day. And that Facebook like button being pressed led to Officer Podliski being able to come out to Tara's house and file a police report for charges that Officer Curry had not deemed worthy of even contacting John about previously. All of it was started because Tara changed her name and her profile picture to John's on Facebook in order to like her own post so she could take a picture of it, show it to Officer Podliski, and frame John with false evidence. John the entire time maintaining that he did not remember pressing the like button on Facebook, but if they have a picture of it or if they have proof of it, I guess it must be true. And his attorney, Stephanie Cooper, did not even ask to see the evidence. She didn't even ask. You ever had an attorney before that didn't even ask to see the evidence against the defendant? It's absurd. She should be ashamed of herself. Come back next episode with something just as spicy. You're probably wondering, how could it be just as spicy? You just proved that there's evidence forged that was entered in, and I'm sure it was just a coincidence that the district attorney chose to suppress it from the discovery, and they chose to suppress it from actually going into the police report that's filed with the courthouse. But hey, all's fair in love and war, right? Thanks for listening to this episode of Corrupt Clearfield. Remember, you can follow along with all of the documents I'm referencing at corruptclearfield.com. Just scroll down and click the link to the Dropbox file. All the documents are cataloged in order as they appear in each episode. You can also help to support this investigation as it continues, and also our family as we attempt to recover from the damage that has been done. You can donate either by going to corruptclearfield.com and clicking the link as you scroll down the page, or you can go directly to paypal.me/crazygaby. That's my broadcasting alias. Again, that's paypal.me/CRAZ as in zebra, YGAB as in Bravo, EY. Thanks for listening. Until next episode.